Hey, welcome back to The Dive. The London Metal Exchange, the world's biggest exchange for industrial metals, will abandon its attempt to break into precious metal trading after just 5 years due to low trading volumes in its gold and silver contracts. And our guest today is here to share his thoughts on what it could mean for the precious metal market, as well as his take on Elon Musk buying Twitter, Joe Biden running for re-election, China's zero COVID policy, oil, and gold. He's one of our regulars, the founder and CEO of Bubba Trading. Todd Bubba Horwitz is joining us today. But before we bring you Bubba's interview, do me one quick favor and just go ahead and smash that subscribe button, please. Hey, Bubba, welcome back to The Dive.
Cassandra, it's always great to be on with you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on again today. Okay, so let's start off with Twitter. What do you think Elon Musk wants with Twitter?
Well, I think Elon Musk really is a true capitalist and a person who understands that free speech and capitalism are a part of the world and are part of at least the United States. And I think that he wants to bring back the ability to have free speech and give people a voice, versus, conservatives have very little voice on Twitter. And I think that's something that we've seen, kind of from the news to everything else. They keep limiting the amount of true free speech that conservatives can have. And I think it's a very good thing that we finally, again, let the markets decide, let the people decide what they want to read or look at. And I think that's what Elon Musk is going to do.
Okay, so shifting gears here. According to a Washington website, Joe Biden has already told Barack Obama that he will run for re-election in 2024. Do you think that Biden running again would be a gift for the Republicans?
Well, basically, Biden there's no chance he can really run again because obviously he's a puppet regime anyways, but it's obvious that he has something wrong cognitively because you see the unbelievable amount of mistakes that he makes in speech. So I don't think he would run. If he does run, I think it would be a gift. But of course, I think in the last election, this ticket, Harris and Biden were meant to be a loser anyways, because I didn't think they could win. And then when he got close, well, we all know what happens in all elections, not just the last one. There's always a little bit of funny business that goes on in the election world. And they just did it better. But if he does run, I don't think I don't know who could vote for him. A man that's got his finger on the button that can barely put two sentences together.
Now, Beijing has rolled out mass COVID testing for nearly 20 million residents in most of the city, as authorities are racing to contain a fresh Omicron outbreak that has sparked panic buying amid fears of a Shanghai-style lockdown. If the lockdown in China drags on, do you think that this will have a direct impact on the U.S. market?
It's already having a dramatic effect on markets, Cassandra. It's killing the supply chain. It's hurting American business dramatically. And if you ask me, I think that that's more the reason they're shutting down, is to bring in more pain and more issues here in the United States, because of course we know their 100-year goal versus, our stuff runs election cycle to election cycle. Again, I don't know how much credence I put into the actual that it's COVID. I think it's more about control. I think it's more about controlling and actually weakening the United States of America, which is exactly what they're doing, because we put ourselves into this jackpot to begin with by stopping the stopping of fracking and shale producing.
So what sectors do you think will be the most impacted if this does or if it's happening, I guess?
Well, we're already in the middle of a tech wreck. Okay. And I think retail will be very much impacted. I think the real impact is going to be on the consumer, because I think the consumer is going to be paying dramatically higher prices. I think the middle class is going to get destroyed throughout this because of what they're paying. We're not even making anywhere near what we were making just 5 years ago, because the speed of inflation, the higher interest rates, and now we're going to have a lack of goods. And you can bet that there's more likely going to be a food shortage next year, because, between what's going on in Russia, Ukraine, with 30% of the world's wheat, the bad crop, the bad harvest out of Brazil, and now we're in planting season, and what Mother Nature is not helping. So there's a lot of problems out here, and a lot of them are being driven by China. And in my eyes, it's being done more intentionally to create this pain than it is by natural evolution.
Okay, so what about oil? What's your price read on oil right now?
Oil is probably going to new highs, I would still think. Again, I think when you depend on your enemies to produce oil for you, and you're begging Maduro for oil and Iran for oil, and Saudi Arabia is your chief supplier, I think you're in trouble. And I think that the oil could easily see 150, possibly $200 a barrel. And I don't like to make big calls like that, but I could certainly see new highs coming. And I would think that the new levels will be, the new base will be probably somewhere near $100 a barrel.
Okay, so let's shift to gold here. The London Metal Exchange, the world's biggest exchange for industrial metals, will abandon its attempt to break into the precious metal trading after just 5 years. What do you think is the direct impact this will have on precious metals markets?
I don't know if it's going to have a lot of impact. Again, a lot of this paper trading, as we call it, is a bunch of funny business. Anyways, China does own the London Metals Exchange. So, again, those are, when you own capitalistic businesses, you have some power and some way to do it. But again, when you come to an actual commodity that people want to buy, and certainly you want to be an owner of gold and silver and platinum, you're going to find ways to buy it. And there will be places to trade it and have it. And I assure you, somebody else will pick it up as well. I think it won't do much to the price. I think price will be driven by demand and by the price action, which unfortunately right now is negative. But I think that overall, I think gold and the rest are going to go higher, and probably pretty sharply so at some point.
Okay, so now we have to ask you about earnings seasons. What stories that you're following closely right now?
Well, earnings are such a tough thing to judge, because those are manipulated, because you get news feeds that say we're expecting this, and most companies try to underpromise and overdeliver, so we don't get many shocks. Now, we've seen so far this earnings season a pretty big shock in Netflix, a pretty big shock in Google. We've got Facebook and Apple coming up, and now Facebook started this last quarter going down almost $100. It's going to be an ugly earnings season, because the companies can't possibly have met quotas or what they're trying to make. But again, there's a lot of ways they sugarcoat that to make the expectations lower before they get here, which then makes bad earnings look good.
Okay, well, it's always so nice to hear your view on things, Bubba. Thank you so much for joining us. Before you leave, would you like to let our viewers know where they can go to get more of your commentary?
Absolutely. You can go to bubbatrading.com. And I post a daily video, and you can also come and just email me direct at bubba@bubbatrading.com. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions when it comes to just about anything.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. We'll see you next time, Bubba.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Thanks so much for watching today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the latest news and updates. So be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe below before you go.